to Eye on Horror, the official podcast of iHorror.com. This is episode 139, otherwise known as season 7, episode 20. I am your host, James J. Edwards, and with me, as always, is your other host, Jacob Davison. How you doing, Jacob?
Doing okay. I'm back for my trip on the East Coast and back in California.
You're back in present time. You're not in the future anymore.
Yeah.
I love that joke. Also with us, as always, is your other host, John Correia. How you doing, Correia?
Oh, doing great. I've been doing my manic swings, and in the last few days, it's been the swings and roundabouts, and it's been on the low end of it. So I've been doing a lot of doom scrolling, which has led to like wormholes and black holes of threads. And this morning's thread was how Mormons believe in Bigfoot. I should state, some Mormons believed in Bigfoot, and that the church is because I did end up on the Mormon website, and their statement on Bigfoot or cryptozoology was that the church has no official statement on Bigfoot, though several church leaders were reportedly to be open to the possibility of the Bear Lake monster. However, modern church leaders never discussed the subject, and that's a lot of the verbiage on their site is. There was a possibility in the past, but modern people don't talk about this stuff. But yeah, when you go down the rabbit hole of like why some Mormons believed in Bigfoot, and you learn that it's because of their belief of like Cain and the mark of Cain, you quickly start to realize it's racist. It's just racist. And modern Mormonism is trying to distance itself from that. So
why wouldn't they believe in Bigfoot? Because he's real.
Well, the train of thought with it was, Cain was a bad guy. You know, Cain killed Abel. He's a bad guy. He was marked with the mark of Cain. And in Mormonism, for the longest time, it was skin pigmentation. So they believed that black people were descendants of Cain. And so there's like a verse or something where they said that it was black and covered in hair. And so some Mormons interpreted it, because a lot of Mormonism takes place in North America, that's Bigfoot. And so Bigfoot is Cain walking the earth. Now, the modern church does not believe that Cain is still wandering the earth. You know, their official statement is probably not. Different traditions have him dying in various contexts, but you know, you can't bury old timey racism, especially when it's tied to something weird. But how great would it have been in Heretic if Hugh Grant was just like, so do you guys believe in Bigfoot? You know, like, I think if you had that discussion coupled with his Jar Jar Binks impression, movie of the year.
Yeah. Oh, that would have ruled. All that movie needed was Bigfoot.
Like, what if Bigfoot showed up in the basement?
Granted, all any movie really needs is Bigfoot.
I was about to say that's a pretty good blanket critique.
What if Hugh Grant had Sasquatch in the basement?
Oh, if the score was by Sasquatch,
that would have been great.
It could have happened.
So what's been going on? What have you guys been seeing?
Yeah, I've been catching up on a bunch of stuff. I saw that A24 movie Y2K. Did you guys see that?
Mm-mm.
No, not yet.
Oh man, it was so good. It's basically this horror comedy from Kyle Mooney, who did like Brigsby Bear, and he was like a writer on SNL for a long time. And it's a period movie about these two friends who are kind of losers on New Year's Eve 1999 who go to like this big party, and it starts out kind of like as a Can't Hardly Wait party film, but then it's midnight and Y2K actually happens in this version of the 90s, and it's like Maximum Overdrive where all the machines start combining and killing people, like Tamagotchi with a flamethrower roasts a guy's head, and like a automatic bed crushes a dude. So it's it knows the movie it wants to be, and it has an incredible period soundtrack with the most prevalent being Limp Bizkit and a lot of new metal and rap metal.
Fred Durst was in it too, right?
Yes, I didn't want to spoil it, but yeah, Fred Durst gets 2 Way24 appearances this year, and they're both bangers between this and I Saw the TV Glow.
Dude, Fred Durst, it's funny because and he actually has directed a couple of really good movies too. I'm for anything that keeps him from making music. So like I'll go see him act or direct. The same thing with Mark Wahlberg. I'll go see all his movies as long as he doesn't bring back the Funky Bunch.
I'll go eat at Wahlburgers every day. 2 meals if it prevents him from making any more music. You didn't like the Funky Bunch?
Good Vibrations was actually good, but the song where he ripped off Lou Reed, the what is it, The Wild Side, that one was not as good.
I mean, that's the thing. Fred Durst is really getting a foot in the door in cinema this year between I Said TV Glow and Y2K, and who knows, maybe he'll be in the next Ari Aster movie.
Have you guys seen this? This might be the week's bomb. Have either of you seen Kraven the Hunter?
No, but I did see the images of Chameleon and Rhino and
Purple Rhino.
Wait, he's purple?
He's purple. Yeah, he's kind of grayish purple.
It's more the face that I was just like, oh, I see why you didn't show it in the trailers.
Dude, Kraven is like, it's Madam Web bad. It is bad. And it makes me think that Sony just doesn't give a fuck about these properties they have from Marvel.
Well, I mean,
anymore.
It's over. Like they're ending the Sony Marvel universe.
Yeah, and they just don't care, which is kind of sad because Kraven is a great character. Even the Aaron Taylor Johnson Kraven could be, a good character, but this movie is really bad. They even kind of ruined Rhino. I mean, Rhino is a great character, but the way that they did him is kind of bad too. But yeah, also Chameleon's in it, and then there's a character that I'm not even familiar with, the Foreigner. Is he like a real Spider-Man villain?
I think he's like a lesser known.
Yeah, I'm not super into the comics, but
like the Jackie Chan movie.
No, this is a guy, he seems to be able to kind of teleport or play with time, because he'll do this thing where he's about to kill someone and he'll go 3, 2, and then he'll like be in another place and he kills him. It's kind of, but he was probably the most interesting character in this.
I just fundamentally, and I hate being that guy that's like, you're not doing the comics justice, like based off of like very early information, but like the first thing they released was an interview with Aaron Taylor. He's like, yeah, he's a fighter for animal rights, and I was like, that is fundamentally not Kraven the Hunter. Kraven the Hunter was such like a piece of shit when it came to hunting animals that when he heard that there was a possibility of a spider human hybrid, he was like, great, another thing for me to kill. That's rare. I'm going to go kill that one thing. And they're like, but that's a person. He's like, nope, he's Spider-Man. That means he's an animal. I'm going to go hunt him in New York City.
Yeah, he is kind of, they do kind of introduce him as like the protector of animals. Like his big thing is he goes after poachers who are stealing the horns off of the bison and stuff, which brings me to another thing. The CG animals in Kraven the Hunter are horrible. Like I've seen better CG effects out of film students. Yeah, it's just not good. And I think that probably anyone who wanted to see it has seen it by now. And I think that the cinema scores and the Rotten Tomatoes, everything has reflected what I'm saying right now. So this isn't really a shock, but yeah, Kraven is bad.
Well, I've been trying to work my way through Blu-rays I've owned for forever, but never watched, which has led to some like really weird like marathons. First, I watched all of the Barbershop movies, which such a delight. Beauty Shop especially is probably my favorite right now. But this is a horror podcast. I watched the straight to video, or the 2 back-to-back straight to video sequels to the Prophecy Forsaken and Prophecy Uprising.
Is this the Christopher Walken Prophecy?
This is that franchise, but he's not in these ones.
Okay. Yeah, it's after the original trilogy. He's not in those.
Okay.
Yeah, and you don't need to. just know that was Miramax just like,
milking that IP.
Yeah, what were those like the last few Hellraiser movies that were straight to video that didn't even have Doug Bradley in them? It was that level.
Yeah, Revelation or something.
Yeah, just don't even, just get the 4K trilogy set from Vinegar Syndrome and be happy, because that trilogy rules. The 4 and 5 are horrible. I did watch Butterfly Effect for the first time in years, and I watched the director's cut, which is the superior cut because it has so much infanticide in it. It's fantastic. I loved it. I was surprised on like how like non-linear a lot of like the character stuff was happening in that movie. I was like, this movie's smarter than it kind of like was advertised as.
I love the butterfly effect. It's one of
Yeah,
my favorite. It's probably in my top 10, like all time. And it
it's
is, you're
great.
right.
Yeah.
It's very well written. And the thing is, it takes some figuring out on the viewer's part, which I love. You do it's like at one point you're like, oh, that's why he was blacking out,
Yeah. Ashton Kutcher's not even in it until like 40 minutes into the movie, which is
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
And the cut you're talking about, it has a different ending, which is like dark.
It's great.
I mean, this movie is 20 years old, but I still don't want to spoil this. If you have not seen the original ending, and you want to be depressed,
I loved it. I liked it more than the because I watched all the other endings. I will say there is still some really bad dialogue or really bad moments in it. Like there's that one scene where Ashton Kutcher is having a moment where he's like, you're not acting like you, man. I don't even know who I am. It's like, oh, stop. Or that sex scene. That sex scene there was like one sex scene where it's when he goes back and he becomes a frat boy, and like the girl he loves is now his girlfriend, but she's a sorority, and they have sex, and it's just like it's just a horribly shot sex scene, but not as bad of a sex scene as the butterfly effect too. That's right, another straight to video that Correia watched.
Weren't there like 2 sequels to the butterfly effect?
There is, but I'm stopping myself now because 2 was so fucking bad and had an even worse sex scene, and I'm just like, you know what? We don't need to watch Revelations.
I haven't seen any of the Butterfly Effect sequels because I don't want it to ruin the Butterfly Effect for me, because I love the Butterfly Effect.
It's not going to ruin it because all the nuances, because the Butterfly Effect was really good about like what the changes were, what caused him, the blackout and stuff. At least with 2, it was just very much so a straightforward like, oh, like the guy starts going back in time to try to improve his life, and he becomes a Wall Street douchebag because of it. It's dumb. No reason at all. So, anyways, I just wanted to trash on those straight to video movies, to be honest. But have either of you seen Lord of the Rings: War of the Rohirrim?
Yes,
Rohirrim?
I saw it, and it was good. It was really good.
Yeah, what'd you think, Jacob?
I really loved it. I'm not. I saw the original Lord of the Rings movies, and I saw the Hobbit movies, and I actually read the Hobbit when I was a kid, but I wouldn't consider myself a huge Tolkien fan. But it was it was a fantastic movie, and it was such a cool idea to do an anime Lord of the Rings or Tolkien adaptation spinoff, especially because Tolkien has had a massive influence in Japanese fantasy, like back in the old days, like there was this anime that was on the Sci-Fi Channel called the Record of Lodoss War that had a very heavy Tolkien influence, among others. But yeah, no, it looked really good and it was very compelling. I saw it in IMAX and it was stunning. I really enjoyed it.
Hell yeah. I made the joke before seeing it going, yeah, I'm really looking forward to a Lord of the Rings movie that's about humans, because humans were the most interesting part of the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit books, which was a joke. I was excited to see it because the world building and everything in it is so good, and it takes place in a time that's not really explored. And they even said in the very beginning that you don't know the story of Hera because there's no songs about her, and I thought that was really cool, and it was really interesting to be in this very big fantasy world and to be in that very grounded, this is just a war story, and the animation was fantastic. There was I think they really took in a lot of influence of like the Bachki Lord of the Rings animated film, because there were some animation movements that were very rotoscopy.
I noticed that too. Also, I love the casting, like Brian Cox as King Hammerhand, like that was badass.
He was great.
Brian Cox just beating the shit out of people.
But also, Hera was a badass character. She was serving face. She was serving I was in the theater just snapping my fingers the whole time, especially when she goes, I am betrothed to death. I was just like, hell yes, yes. And that pissed me off because she had so many icon scenes and no one in the theater cheered, but a large group of people cheered at the fucking Nicole Kidman ad beforehand, because I saw it in AMC Prime, and I was like, I hate you all.
I will say this. When I saw the movie and Hera said that she would marry no man, a bunch of women in my aisle started hooting and hollering.
Fuck yeah, dude. And she was so cool. Jay, you got to see this movie. She punches a man in the throat with a shield. Like, that was so brat. That was brat as fuck.
They didn't give that an awards push, so I didn't get to see it for awards voting.
Yeah.
But there is another animated movie I saw for awards voting that is going to end up on my top 10. It's not really horror, but it's called Flow. Have you guys heard about Flow?
I'm seeing it tonight.
No, but I
God.
mean, I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
Flow is so good. It's basically about a cat and he's got a bunch of other little furry and feathered compadres that there's a catastrophic flood. And these animals find themselves having to survive this flood like on a boat. And it is so this is this year's Robot Dreams. Because I think it's Latvian. It's either Latvian or French, but it doesn't matter because there's no dialogue. It's all just watching these animals and I was watching it at home, so I found myself, talking to you, swim, kitty, swim, but it is, it's really, really good, but it's not horror, but it's a beautifully animated movie. Another thing for awards that I saw that isn't horror, but gets horror. Have you guys seen The Piano Lesson?
No.
Oh, I haven't even heard of that one.
It's on Netflix and it starts out, it's about this black family it's like post-slavery and they have this piano that basically the brother wants to sell this piano so he can get money to buy this land that this landowner just died. And the sister does not want to sell this piano because, it's in the family and she, wants it. And it's a pretty standard, one of those movies. It feels like a play that they made into a movie, but the last 10 minutes goes full on ghost story. And I've heard people complaining about the last 10 minutes, but honestly, the last 10 minutes is what made the movie watchable for me. And that probably says more about me than the movie. But it goes full on ghost story in the last 10 minutes. It's pretty fun. The last 10 minutes is.
All right. And on my end, I got to, speaking of awards pushes, I got to see the new fully animated Looney Tunes movie, Looney Tunes: The Day the Earth Blew Up, with Porky Pig and Daffy Duck.
Oh yeah, how was it?
It was so funny. Like, it's amazing that we haven't gotten a fully animated Looney Tunes movie until 2024. Because it's basically just a feature length Looney Tunes cartoon. It's Porky Pig and Daffy Duck live together and their roof gets wrecked, so they have to fix it. And it eventually just kind of snowballs into a disaster alien invasion movie with all kinds of slapstick and crazy stuff. And it was so funny. Like, it really up the ante on the gags. And they also brought back a fairly obscure character, Petunia Pig, who was kind of Porky's love interest from some of the earlier and kind of one-off Looney Tunes cartoons, and in that she plays a scientist. But the real highlight is they got Renfield himself, Peter MacNicol, to play the alien invader. And look, just anytime Peter MacNicol screeches, it's comedy gold. Just anytime he yells his head off, I lose it. I loved his recurring role on Veep as Uncle Henry, just chewing out Jonah. And in this, he's a really angry alien.
You say that it's doing an awards run right now. I might have to sneak in a screening at 7:20 tonight at that Lemley, because I think that is today is the last day it's playing, because with how Warner Brothers has been treating Looney Tunes lately, need to see it before it's never showed again.
That's crazy thing too, is that apparently with the production release history, it was originally, I think, going to go to streaming, and then Warner Brothers just kind of kicked the can down until a smaller company managed to buy it and release it for distribution.
That's insane, because there has been feature length movies for that featured Looney Tunes, Quackbusters and others, but they were always made for TV or straight to video. So and
a lot of them were compilations of earlier cartoons.
Yeah, I mean, Quackbusters is fucking fantastic.
Yeah, I watched that a lot on Cartoon Network.
It's so good. But yeah, no, I definitely want to support the shit out of that. So yeah, I might. I wasn't going to spend any more money this week, but I'll buy a ticket for that. Hell yeah!
Yeah, I mean, it's either that or wait until February.
I won't. Just won't.
As well, you should.
It's the Companion issue all over again. My first thought after we saw that screening of Companion was, oh fuck! Now I have to wait till the end of January to see it again because I wanted to immediately see it again.
Yeah, no, that's my problem too.
Have you guys seen? It's on Shudder. Carnage for Christmas.
Yes, I actually saw it back in April. I was at a festival screening of it at Salem Horror Fest.
Oh, okay. It was at Salem. Okay, yeah. It's by the person Alice Mayo McKay who did T Blockers and Bad Girl Boogie.
Yeah,
I love her. She's great.
Well, here's the thing. This movie, I'm kind of on the fence with it because it's what it's about. And I don't know if Jacob said this back then, but it's about a trans podcaster who goes home for Christmas, and her hometown, there's an urban legend about a Santa killer
and a toy maker.
The toy maker. And of course, when she gets there, the Santa killer comes back, starts killing people. So it's kind of like a mystery, which I guess a lot of the old school slashers were mysteries, trying to figure out who the killer is. But my issue with it is there's so much of it is told through like dialogue and discussions. It's like, I don't know, everything is so spoon fed. The one thing that is really interesting about it is the look of it. It's really well shot. And also when I was watching it, the editing is all like compositing, and it's really well edited with just like visual effects and stuff. And when I was watching the credits, there's a reason why the editing and VFX look so good, because when I was watching the credits, the third credit is editing and VFX by Vera Drew. It's not quite as flamboyant as The People's Joker. I mean, come on, The People's Joker is about someone, dropping themselves into the Batman universe. So this is a little more subtle than that, but you can tell that it's like that same slick editing, and it's real jump cutty and composity. But yeah, as far as the writing, I was just kind of like, can't you let us figure some of this out ourselves? I don't know.
Yeah, it was a bit expository, I recall, but yeah, I mean, although I really do got to give Alice Mayo McKay credit because she's been putting out like so many horror movies at such a young age. Like, didn't she make her first movie at like 16 or something?
Yeah, Alice's first short film was 2019, and so since 2019, Alice has made 10 films.
God damn,
so
that's like 2 a year.
Yeah, that was a short in 2019. That was A Tale of the Laundry Game, followed by Tooth for Tooth, and then it was around 2021 that she made Boys Night. And then, but basically, I think since So Vam, which was 2021, on top of like doing all these shorts, she has put out 6 movies. That's a feature like that's awesome. Like,
yeah, I mean, that's more than one a year.
Or I should say 5. I think one was a short, but yeah, it's still, I mean, it's incredible. And it's such, she has such like a very specific and confident voice behind the camera that I just absolutely love and appreciate. So yeah, I'm looking forward to watching it. Always have a little bit of problem when things are a bit expository, but I think I used the wrong word there. But
I don't think you did. I think that's exactly what it is. It is, well, it's verbally expository is what it is. But yeah, it is. But yeah, it's on Shudder, and another thing I loved about it. It's like 70 minutes long. There's always time for Carnage for Christmas. You could watch it 3 times in the time it takes you to watch The Brutalist once.
Nice. I need to start abusing our Shudder account because we're getting to the end of the year, so I got to start putting together my list.
Also, have you guys gotten to Carry On Netflix yet?
Not yet, but I want to.
This movie is It's really fun. What it kind of is it's kind of like Phone Booth meets Die Hard, and I think I just clicked two boxes for Correia there.
Until you remind me it's propaganda for TSA, but yeah.
Well, it not really, because it kind of Jason Bateman is the villain and Taron Egerton is the TSA agent, and it kind of makes the TSA easy to compromise. Honestly, it like makes it look like it makes me feel less safe. It's funny. My wife was she was back visiting her mom in Arkansas, and when she was flying back, she was going to download it to watch on the plane, and then she's like, maybe not on a plane. But yeah, it basically Taron Egerton, he gets an earpiece. It gets passed through, his thing, his station, and they'll put this in. So he puts it in, and then Jason Bateman's talking to him, and he's like, okay, here's what you're gonna do. So there's the phone booth or grand piano of it. But then, by the end, or not really the end, by about the halfway point, it just becomes Die Hard, where except it's in an airport.
So Die Hard 2, Die Hard 2.
Yeah, Die Harder. Yeah. Oh, it is. But yeah, I mean, it's fun. It's a real throwback. I didn't know Taron Egerton could do action like this. He does a lot of running in it. Like he runs more than Tom Cruise. I mean,
he did the Kingsman movies.
Oh yeah, that's true. But true.
Those are so over to the top at the action.
Yeah. Well, this kind of is too. I mean, this isn't exactly The Beekeeper, but it's
few things are.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, he and Jason Bateman get into a fight in the cargo hold of a plane. Okay. That's where things get awesome. But okay. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Carry On is definitely fun. It's on Netflix, so there's no excuse. Although, here's a warning: if you play Whamageddon, wait until after Christmas to watch it, because it will take you out of Whamageddon.
Whamageddon.
It plays the Wham song that people avoid. You don't know Whamageddon?
Okay.
Yeah. If Whamageddon is people try to avoid Last Christmas by Wham until Christmas Eve.
But it's like the one good Christmas song. That isn't Kylie Minogue's Christmas album, of course, but
this will take you out of it. They do play it. They play a lot of Christmas songs. They make it obvious that that it's Christmas time, if only through the music and the fact that the airport is super busy. They make a big because it takes place on Christmas Eve. They're all the busiest air traffic day of the year, and you want us to close the terminal?
Yeah, no, but
there's a whole bunch of the mayor and Jaws happening.
I was just about to say, it sounds like him, man. Close the beach for 4th of July. What? Yeah. Nuts?
Close the terminal on the busiest travel day of the year. Yeah,
but it's Christmas.
It's Christmas.
The TSA guy's boss is Hank from Breaking Bad, so you could actually picture him saying that line.
I can, yeah, very much so. I went to a repertory screening of Sleepaway Camp over at Vignettes, because I've been hitting Vignettes hard lately. They've been doing such great. We all know I met Dan Stevens there, and then went to They Came Together screening, which was incredible. And so I went to it was my birthday present from Lindsay to go see Sleepaway Camp, which is really funny because for the longest time I hated that movie. But the screening was put on by BJ and Harmony Colangio, who wrote Harmony wrote an amazing article about as a trans person what Sleepaway Camp means to them and their interpretation of it, and it really turned around my viewing of that movie. But I still hadn't seen it yet, so they put on this screening. They were there. They were signing their book that was distributed by Die Books, which I highly recommend, because the book is like not only an expansion on that article, but they also get into the history of the movie and its queer influences and its influence on queer culture, both good and bad, because it is very, give or take. But I gotta say, watching Sleepaway Camp at home when I was younger, it wasn't a great experience, but seeing it with a crowd that was just laughing at all the right moments and just having fun with it was really, really turned everything around for me with that movie. So I like Sleepaway Camp 1 now, not just 2 and 3. I always like 2 and 3, but I like the first one now. So
That's the opposite for me. I've always hated 2 and 3, but I've always liked 1.
2 and 3 they were just so silly.
Sister.
Yeah, it's Bruce Springsteen's sister. It's so silly. And yeah. But yeah, no, I highly recommend that book. Die Books is actually they make books that are specifically about like one movie. So they have one about Poltergeist, The Love Witch, and Threads. I think Threads is going to be the next one I get from them. But they're also like, they're not thick books either, but they're very well written by single authors each time. So yeah, highly recommend them for Correia's Nook book, I guess, recommendation. Sleepaway Camp.
Is it Nook Book or Book Nook?
Book Nook Book, It's not an official recommendation because I haven't read it yet. So it's a Nook book, right? Because it's on the Nook for later. And then once it's read, then it's a part of the Book Nook Club.
So you actually are going old school with the Nook. Okay. I did
it all for the Book Nook.
I was thinking Nook meaning like it's a little cozy place in your house that you read books as your Nook. I wasn't even thinking the Kindle like Nook.
I just can't believe you missed that Limp Bizkit reference I made.
I wouldn't say I missed it.
There's a lot of Fred Durst references happening in this episode.
Yeah, we're going hard
with it.
We're going hard. Couldn't we be doing Rage Against the Machine references?
We're just trying to get sponsored by Jenko Jeans. Like we're going hard for that sponsorship.
Also wanted to add, I got my Vinegar Syndrome package and I got a bunch of stuff, but the creme de la creme was the at long last awaited 4K release of Michael Mann's The Keep, one of my personal favorite movies.
I was going to say, I thought you didn't like that movie, Jacob.
I thought you were going Hundreds of Beavers.
Well, I did. I also got Hundreds of Beavers. So I got 2 of my favorite movies in that package.
And Cannibal the Musical, right?
Yeah, I mean, I really like Cannibal the Musical, but it's different tiers.
That's true. Different categories, different tiers. But yes, and how's the 4K hold up to previous editions you've seen? And
oh man, it is good. Like this is as good as this movie will ever look and sound, and I'll accept that because the funny thing is that I saw it on 35 millimeter at the New Bev last year, and I was even thinking like, man, they got the prints. Why hasn't anyone made like a Blu-ray or something of it? And sure enough, 2024, we finally got 4K of The Keep, which has been like the holy grail for a lot of people because it was not even on DVD for ages, and it was just kind of basically a gray market thing. But no, the Vinegar Syndrome really knocked it out of the park. It's as good as it's ever going to look. It's we're never going to get the full version that Michael Mann envisioned, but I'll take what I can get, and it's still very haunting. And the timing was perfect because I actually watched it on the 41st anniversary of the release because it came out in 1983 December, and yeah, no, just still holds up. And also, going back to it, yeah, I'm really glad that Hundreds of Beavers got a Blu-ray release, and not just a Blu-ray release, but it was like a massive Blu-ray release because it sold like over 8,000 copies within like its first week.
Yeah, so they have to greenlight 200s of Beavers.
We need 200s of Beavers to follow the thousands of Hundreds of Beavers sales.
Yeah. No, I got my package the other day too, and there's so many good titles in there. We listed a few of them. There's also Congo 4K.
Oh yeah, I watched that.
If I wasn't so busy trying to get rid of some Blu-rays by watching them first, and for this week's topic, I would have already dived into them. So that might be my Christmas marathon, along with Muppet Christmas Carol at Fidiots.
Nice.
Yeah.
I finally caught up with The Front Room.
Oh yeah.
How was that?
What'd you think?
Yeah, I really liked it. It is
it's so good.
It's a lot of fun. But here, I mean, I know that Correia talked a lot about it, so I don't really want to go into the movie, but one thing that Correia didn't really go into that just really struck me is the score. This score is out of control, and it's the composer is a guy named Marcelo Zarvas, who he's like a real Hollywood composer. He's done like the Equalizer movies and and stuff like stuff like Ray Donovan and Dark Waters, and what got May December, for Netflix. He's not like one of these niche horror composers. And this score, I couldn't figure out if he was using a theremin or if he was using one of those Moogs that are just monophonic, like one note at a time, and it just slides all over the place, because some of the themes had that Star Trek, to them. And I was like, oh, I found myself wishing that, or hoping maybe is the right word, that A24 does a vinyl release of the score, because they didn't do one for the Zone of Interest, which really bummed me out, because because they should have. But I hope they do one for the Front Room, because the score is just incredible.
They haven't yet.
Yeah. It's still recent enough. The Zone of Interest is like over a year old, so if they haven't done it by now, they're not going to. But the Front Room is still new enough that we still might get one. And I tell you, my what do you call it? AAA 24 or AAA 24?
I call it AAA 24. Yeah.
Well, that membership will come in handy when.
Yeah.
It's weird because A24's merch, the stuff in their shop, is generally pretty expensive, except the vinyl records. The vinyl records are pretty much par with like your Mondo or your Waxwork. So I find myself, that and the novelizations of the Ty West trilogy are.
I get the Blu-rays. Actually, Jay, I just got my birthday present, or I ordered my birthday present from AAA 24, and it came down to either the Iron Claw soundtrack on vinyl or the Talking Heads Stop Making Sense coasters. And
okay.
Sorry, I had to go with the coasters. I know I already own so many coasters, but
I wish the Iron Claw was a choice when I did mine. The only thing, I mean, it was probably the cheapest thing, but the only thing that I wanted from my choices was the In Sync cover from Red Rocket, that 7-inch.
Yeah, so good. Yeah.
Oh, I love her version of that, and but it was like. I'm like, God, I feel like this is kind of a waste, because, I could be getting one of these, $60 things, and here's this $22 thing. It's the only thing I want.
Yeah.
But they got off easy for my birthday.
Oh, the first birthday I had, I was like, what's the most expensive thing I can get that I kind of like? And I went for like $120 sweater that I never wear. So this year I was like, let's actually get something that we genuinely do want, despite the price. So I'm always happy with my choice. I still love Justin the Liberty from OCN Distribution and Vinegar Syndrome, who we've had on the podcast. His Letterboxd review for the Front Room was sitting up in my room, listening to my stepmother menacingly shit the bed and scream about being racist.
There you go.
3 stars.
3 stars.
3 stars.
What a movie.
It's so good. And oh man, I mean, it's one of those ones where it's just the performances,
you kind of have to be in a mood for it. Like, you have to be in the right headspace, sort of like The Beekeeper. It's like, if you understand what they're going for, it's totally enjoyable. I know so many people who hated The Beekeeper, and I'm like, oh dude, you don't get it. This is supposed to be over the top ridiculous. I mean, the fact that he basically fights the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles foot gang at the end, that should have been your first clue that you're, not supposed to take this seriously. But yeah, the Front Room.
And this one, if you're not prepared for an amazing hagsploitation level performance from Katheryn Hunter, you're in for a rough time, bud. Because like that was she just like is everything in that. And then when her and Brandy are standing off. Come on. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I wanted to just slap her, but
and she does.
I know she does.
There was a cheer in the audience. Oh man, that was such a great audience watch. Just she hits her and everyone's like, ah, finally. Yeah, we don't condone violence, but racists
against racist old people,
that's fine. I mean, I don't know if you guys have been watching Creature Commandos at all, but I think James Gunn has purposely did the oldest trick in the book on how to get you to fall in love with a character, and that's having them joyfully kill lots of Nazis, and that's GI robot.
Killing Nazis will never not be fun to watch. Like Sisu or in
Inglourious Bastards.
Indiana Jones.
Let's move on to our topic because we ran long with, considering nothing's really come out except Kraven the Hunter. We went really long with that. Correia, introduce our topics. I'm not 100% sure that I understand what you want out of this.
Yeah. So in celebration of Robert Eggers' Nosferatu finally coming out after he announced it like when The Witch came out. Like this has been a thing he's been cooking up for years.
And why they didn't do it as a Halloween release?
I don't know. I haven't seen it, so I don't know if it's Christmassy. But in celebration of that, in celebration of just like Nosferatu in general, today's topic is us talking about Nosferatu, its influences, its history, and why this at this point, over 100-year-old movie that was a ripoff and was saved through illegal bootlegging is so influential.
Yeah, they got sued by Stoker's estate, and then wasn't it like some projectionist stuck a copy in his coat as he walked out with it or something?
Pretty much.
Yeah, because they were ordered to burn all copies, but there were prints that were out there, so there was a bunch of random like prints for international distribution. And so it was saved through various things, and so for many years it was lost and then was found in bits and pieces, and beautiful people like the kind folks at Kino Lorber and other institutions have restored it a few times. The 2011 remaster that Kino did looks fantastic. I rewatched it the other night, and it's striking because let's be honest, we all know that I'm basically an iPad kid that was born a few years too early to be an actual iPad kid, and it still holds my attention. It's just such a haunting film. The all around aura of it is just uneasy, and I think it's really great because there's so many adaptations and interpretations of Dracula, and so many of them lean into the romanticism of Dracula, whereas Nosferatu, he's a fucking disease. He is walking death. Yeah, he's a plague. They call him the death bird in Nosferatu, and I think it's just so interesting, especially when you're like the context of like 1920s Germany, just after World War One, before World War Two, and like the production company Pranu. This was their only feature that they made, but they were they were founded by occultists or folks that were into the occult and stuff. That's why Nosferatu, like in the letters, and you'll see symbols throughout the film. So it has this like really weird ethereal feel to it. Not to mention the promotional art, which is gorgeous, is done in that style as well. So, I mean, it's easy to see why it was such an influence, but it's also insane on how it's been able to survive for so long. And yeah, I mean, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, no, it is also interesting because it was after the Spanish flu epidemic, so I feel like that would have tied into it as well.
Oh, absolutely. And then you get all these. There's a lot of and looking up stuff for this. I found a lot of films that were called Nosferatu, and they would just take like footage from it and intersplice it with like stuff. There was a lot of like weird softcore stuff that were doing that with it, which was sure, go make your dollars.
The novel that it's taken from, Dracula, is a seductive character. And I guess Nosferatu, if you don't look at him, he's a seductive character, but he's ugly and scary.
But that's the thing, is that like, and that's what, oh man, and like I can't tell you like how like enthralled I was in watching it a couple of nights ago, because there's a seduction, but it's a menacing. I mean, even just that the imagery of him like kind of sleeping on her after he drank Ellen's blood, and he's just there with his eyes open, snoring away, and his hands are just like over her chest and stuff. He's a parasite. He's a plague. It's so interesting, which is so cool because every other interpretation of Dracula, he's hot as shit. I mean, Bela Lugosi fucking got laid as fuck as Dracula. Christopher Lee, come on.
That's kind of the thing. Whenever they want to make a menacing vampire type, like in Salem's Lot or what was it, Midnight Mass? Is that
Midnight Mass,
the Flanagan one?
Yeah.
They model him after freaking the Nosferatu one when they want to make a Dracula or a vampire that is truly horrifying. If they want to make one that's seductive, they model him after Bela Lugosi.
Yeah. Which is why Christopher Lee's performance as Dracula is so good, because it really is that combination of both. He was both sexy and like menacing, like just the eyes for Christopher Lee is what always like gets under my skin with the bloodshot eyes.
Yeah, for me with Nosferatu, it's the hands. Like he's got those long bony fingers with the kind of claws, and like and just the shadow play of like the hands go out first, so like you see the shadow of the hands before you see him.
He has very shadow-worthy hands, like shadow puppet hands.
Well, and not only that, but like so much of Nosferatu is experimentation. I mean, the colorization of scenes and having it match, like not just like saying like, oh, it's blue, now it's nighttime, but there was a lot of play with it. But also Murnau, he was a photographer first, and so a lot of those, because with silent films at that time, it was very static, one shot scene plays out like a play. But some of the angles and imagery that he evokes with that of the landscapes is so cool, because the beautiful landscapes, but the angle and everything that he goes at it with is haunting. Or just the scene of I'm trying to remember the actual names of the characters, because it's not Renfield, it's Knock in Nosferatu. When Knock is on the roof of the building and he's throwing rocks at people who are the villagers that are pillaging for him, it's such a goofy bit, but like also very interesting, just like the angles. Yeah, I could talk about Nosferatu all day, but its influences are felt. I mean, you have the Herzog remake in the 70s,
the Klaus Kinski Nosferatu.
Yeah, Nosferatu in Venice, which I did not get to watch in time. I'm very upset.
Oh, it's so much fun. It doesn't even look like Nosferatu in that one, but it's just such a bonkers Italian production.
And then Shadow of the Vampire, where Willem Dafoe gets to play yet another, not the Van Helsing character of Nosferatu, but he
plays Nosferatu.
He plays Max Schreck. Yeah.
Well, he plays Nosferatu and Max Schreck. I think he's the only person to have played Nosferatu and Van Helsing. I did watch that one because I was like, man, it would be really cool to watch the original Nosferatu and then revisit Shadow of the Vampire. And yeah, the recreations were really cool, but some of I think the scene that really stuck out, two things that really stuck out for me with this is William Dafoe would use the nails to like click together and stuff like a sassy bitch. That was drag. That was brat. I loved it.
If anyone hasn't seen Shadow of the Vampire, what it is it's a movie. Basically, Max Schreck, when they were making Nosferatu, was a really weird guy, and he kind of creeped out the crew. And this movie kind of theorizes that Max Schreck really was a vampire. So it's about the making of the movie, and Max Schreck keeps eating crew members.
Yeah. It's fiction, 100%.
And John Malkovich plays Murnau.
Yeah. There's this amazing scene where Malkovich, he's bargaining with him about who he's going to eat. He's like, you can't eat the writer. He's like, but the thing's written.
Oh yeah, stop eating my cameraman. Oh, what is he not eating? Eat the script girl, man. I don't want. I'll get her eventually.
I'll eat her later. Yeah. And then he's okay. You can eat the writer, but then you have to write how you get, because he doesn't want to go on the boat.
Right. Exactly.
You write how we get over there. You go,
No, and that's the thing. Overall, like the film does have like a weird back and forth with tone. There are some scenes that are very comedic. There are some scenes that are dramatic. It doesn't quite touch on horror. So it's very much so like a making of a movie type deal, where what if the guy playing a vampire was a vampire? That's the ultimate role. It's a vampire playing a guy, playing an actor who's playing a vampire. And but there's this one scene that was just really amazing, and it's after after Max Schreck drains the cameraman. So Murnau goes back to Berlin to get a new cameraman, and that's later introduces Carrie Ewells. But so they're on set and they're building the ship at the castle because Nosferatu won't go on the ship. He refuses to travel by ship. So they're building it, and then Udo Kier plays the producer of the film. He's getting drunk with the writer, and William Dafoe's Max Schreck comes up to them, and they're all still thinking he's an actor and just a weird guy. And they, I guess, method acting hasn't really been introduced, or it's like starting to become a thing. So everyone's like, this guy's really weird. Why is he in character all the time? And they go, oh, well, you're an actual vampire, right, Max? Like, well, let's ask you some vampire questions. What have you heard of Dracula? And he's like, yeah, I read it. And they're like, oh, yeah, what'd you think of it? And he just talks about the loneliness of Dracula, on what it must feel like to not eat for centuries, and then to have.
I love the line where he says, like, it made him sad because Dracula is so alone. He has to serve Harker himself because he doesn't have any servants.
That was the line that started it off with. So he was like, I was really sad that he had no servants. And they're like, what do you mean? And then he's like, hundreds of years he hasn't eaten. Imagine not eating, not being a part. And he's basically saying, like, not being a part of like humans. And then suddenly you have to pretend to be human. Like, and he says this great line of like, does he even remember how to buy bread? You know? And there's that like meditation in this film on immortality, and that I don't think gets talked enough about in films of immortals, where there's a sadness to this character that comes, but also he gets so feral. The final scene where because the myth in the movie is that the death scene of Count Orlok in Nosferatu is actually this vampire playing Max Schreck dying, that Murnau set up, and it's done so well. So yeah, I mean, it's fun.
Yeah, no, I love Shadow of the Vampire. I was actually lucky enough to see a screening of it with Willem Dafoe and the director in person when we were doing that premiere of The Lighthouse, and we screened that together. And yeah, no, it's so interesting, both as a movie about, the sadness of being a vampire, and also kind of the vampiric nature of film production, because it's, diva film stars literally sucking the cast and crew dry.
Oh, not even that. Just the whole idea of Murnau just putting everyone at risk, or even just
that too, like an egotistical director.
And not just putting people at risk. He full on promises the lead actress to Shrek as compensation before they even get a shot off. Like that was the deal to get this guy in this, and
because he wanted authenticity.
Yeah, I think it's a great case against the auteur theory.
Can you imagine the lawsuits today? the criminal charges that would.
He's a vampire.
I was thinking last night about it in. I don't want to spoil anything, but in Nosferatu, the one that Robert Eggers, they kind of skip over the boat part. I mean, it's implied, but it's not, doesn't really go into too much depth on it. So the last voyage of the Demeter, almost you could edit that into the middle of Nosferatu, and you would have the complete Dracula book.
I mean, and that's what's so cool about, I guess, art in general, because again, we have Nosferatu, and I don't know if all the interpretations or changes, like obviously we know they changed the names to avoid copyright, which didn't work. But like, it's like when you look at The Thing movies, and I'm talking about the original two, The Thing and The Thing from Another Planet,
Thing from Another World, adaptations of the same book, two totally different interpretations of it, because they're focusing on a different aspect of it. So where The Thing from Another World is focusing more on like this vegetation monster creature feature, John Carpenter's The Thing is more about the paranoia of other and trusting others. And so I always find, if you're going to go back and revisit something, having that like different take on it is so interesting. But with this, it was the first one. It was the first adaptation of Dracula on celluloid. There was the play prior, but so to go in that like big of a direction that like almost nobody did after, because everyone always goes for the romanticized version.
is so interesting and cool. And I don't know so one of the things that's coming up in the press for this is people's first introductions to Nosferatu. And I feel like Jacob and I might have the same introduction, but Jay,
I was just about to say it.
Jay, what was your first introduction to Nosferatu? How did you get it, find it?
I probably saw the Herzog one before I saw the Murnau one, but it was definitely either way. I think I probably saw still images before I actually saw the movie, and that's what roped me in. I was like, okay, this is pretty scary,
Yeah.
Yeah, for us, and I think many millennials and Gen Z, it was the hash slinging slasher, the night shift episode of SpongeBob SquarePants where Nosferatu appears.
Yeah, the whole episode they're going on about the hash slinging slasher, which is like a slasher killer, or they think it's a slasher killer. And at the end, it's revealed it's just a guy applying for a job at the Krusty Krab. And
they go, who was flicking the lights?
And it just cuts to Shrek's Nosferatu with his hand on the light switch. And they just have the arm go click, 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 click. And they all just go,
Nosferatu.
And then he smiles.
Yeah, that was Jay Lender, who was one of the SpongeBob writers. And yeah, no, that introduced an entire generation to Nosferatu.
Because everyone was like, what the fuck was that? What's a Nosferatu?
And they even end the episode with like a little Photoshop of him smiling awkward, like, my bad.
Hey, you got me. But Eggers was asked that on the red carpet. He's like, I think that's amazing. He's like, I kind of missed that, but I grew up on Muppet Babies, and Muppet Babies would have clips of Lon Chaney's Phantom of the Opera. So it's awesome. There's a lot
you can do with the public domain.
I think Nosferatu is one of the best examples that you really do capture immortality on celluloid.
All right, well, let's call this one an episode. This is probably our last episode of the year, but we will have one more episode of this season because we got to come back after the first of the year with our top tens. And we're waiting on our top tens because both these guys need to see Nosferatu because
we're getting there.
I have a feeling it's going to be on all three of our lists, but I don't want to speak for you guys.
Got my ticket for Christmas Day. We will see.
It is. Oh, yeah. It's beautiful. Our theme song is by Restless Spirits, so go check them out. Our artwork is by Chris Fisher, so go check him out. And what else? Oh, our socials are Eye on Horror everywhere. Or iHorror.com, which is the site we call home. Am I forgetting anything on this sign off? You did the sign off last time, so I'm rusty on it.
I didn't do a good job at it, so don't come at me like that.
You did fine. You
artwork, music, socials.
Yep. There you go. You're
tagline.
You're going to inherit it next season.
No.
Anyway, we'll see you in a couple weeks with our top tens of the year, as if you can't put them together from what our rantings over the year. But we'll see you in a couple weeks. So for me, James J. Edwards.
I'm Jacob Davison.
And I'm Jonathan Correia.
Keep your eye on horror.